Hey, it's Alex Radcliffe from BoardGameCo, and by the way, that is Alex Radcliffe. Alex Radcliffe. Every once in a while, or maybe at least once or twice a week, I get a comment that no one can hear me say my last name because I just rattle off, hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from BoardGameCo, and I just jump into it. So, that is Alex Radcliffe, Radcliffe like Daniel Radcliffe, Radcliffe College, or the Radcliffe Gaming Table by Uniquely Geek, which actually is named after me, so that's a fun little thing that I have. In any case, name aside, this is the third episode of the Week in Review, which is going to be a weekly series going up every Saturday, covering everything that happened the past week, and then a bit of an update as to what's coming today, because Saturday is my review day, so you'll get a heads up what's going on, and occasionally announcements as well, to that end. To that end, announcements. We have a live Q&A going up tomorrow, Sunday, whatever the date is. I don't know the date, but Sunday, that's the date. Sunday, there's going to be a live Q&A, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the channel. And I do have to say that every once in a while I get comments about, different time zones, international viewers, whatnot, who want a different time. To that end, please comment on this video telling me what other times would work for you, either in your own time zone or in Eastern Standard Time, but just let me know. If you just post 2 o'clock without a time zone, it's not going to help me. I need a time zone of some sort, but tell me what works for you in terms of having other Q&As. I definitely want to, at some point, do another Q&A that has a different time zone to be more accommodating to different people who, well, can't make it to the 10 a.m. one. So yes, this Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, live Q&A, and let me know in the comments down below as far as when you would want to see a Q&A. And so, last Saturday, let's start it off. So last Saturday, we had a few things. We had 2 unboxings. We had an unboxing for Valor and Villainy, which I'm halfway through the rules and hoping to get to the table. That one requires a little more effort to get to the table just because of the nature of the one versus many. You need a bunch of people to actually play it. I'm hoping to play with my family, so we'll see how that plays out. I'll have a review, obviously, as soon as I can get a few games under my belt, but I don't know if that's going to be right away. It might be, several weeks till that happens, so we'll do it when I do it, and that is what it is. You don't want to, you want to rush the content, but you don't want to compromise the content. You don't want to, put it out just for the sake of getting it out. Speaking of which, the other unboxing we had last Saturday was Kingdom Rush, which you may notice set up on the table in front of me. I'm currently about to set up for my 3rd game. I already played 2 games. I will not have a review for it this week because I want to get more than 2 games into my belt, but I'll tell you this much. I don't know what the review is going to say or not say, but I will tell you right now it is currently staying in my collection. More than that, I want to get more games under my belt, and we'll see how it plays out, but listen, I was excited about this game, so I'm already biased as it is, but that being said, no, I don't know if that's true. Reichbusters was one of the most excited I've ever been about a game, and I got rid of that one after 2 plays, or was it 3 plays? I don't remember, but I got rid of Reichbusters after a few plays. I think it was 3, but my excitement for a game is one thing, but that also means that I've set a higher bar for myself to be let down. There are complaints that I have about Kingdom Rush. There are things that might make it a game that's just not right for you, but for me, I'm enjoying it right now, and we'll do the whole review when I have time. I'm assuming next week. We'll see how that plays out. From there, I did 3 reviews last week, and one of them was unintentional. So I did reviews for Cosmic Colonies, Via Magica, and Obsession. Cosmic Colonies wasn't supposed to go up last week. I set a schedule. I always have a few videos in the backlog that are less time sensitive so that I can pad out the content with the more time sensitive, the less time sensitive, try to balance it all basically. And Cosmic Colonies was not scheduled to go up last week, or more specifically, it wasn't supposed to be scheduled to go up last week. But then I logged on Saturday night because I'm offline for a Saturday or whatnot, and I logged on Saturday night and saw a bunch of comments on that video, and I was like, oh, well, I guess that went up. So that was a mistake, but it's up now. It is what it is. It's totally fine. But that's why we had 6 videos in one day, which even 5 is pushing it, but 6 is a lot. And so Cosmic Colonies was the first. Short version of Cosmic Colonies is a polyomino game that I have been enjoying. It is not as highly ranked for me as other polyomino games, which does mean at some point it may well leave my collection, similar to Isle of Cats, the way that one left my collection over time. Cosmic Colonies is good. It's a solid game. It does some things differently. It does enough things differently that it currently is staying, and it's light enough and accessible enough. We'll see how, that plays out over time. Like it, don't love it. From there we have Via Magica. Via Magica is a lightweight family game that I reviewed with Ricky, with my daughter, on the channel, and that one is delightful. Now, to be very clear, it's not as good as I would. Everything depends on the context that you're rating a game. I don't think that Via Magica is a good game in the sense that I cannot ever see myself pulling it out at game night. It effectively is bingo with a whole bunch of other mechanisms around it. Now, those mechanisms do make it delightful, and it has powers, it has abilities, it has whimsical art. There are a lot of things that are about Via Magica that I do enjoy it, and I very much recommend it for the right setting, gateway, family, or whatnot. I don't see it as being a heavy gamer-focused game at all. If you're bringing it to game night with more serious players, I have something stuck in my eye, which is why I keep rubbing my eye. But nonetheless, Via Magica, so yeah, recommend it, but for specifically the right setting and context. And then finally, Obsession. Obsession is an excellent game, one that I believe will be here for quite some time because, well, first of all, I like it. I've liked it more every single time I've played it, which is always a relevant data point. Sometimes I find games go down with each play, other times games stay stable, and other times they go up. So far, Obsession has been more enjoyable with each play, and I haven't even broken out the upstairs-downstairs expansion, which I do have and hope to get to the table. Overall, solid game. I do recommend it, and, well, I mean, that's basically it. Solid game. I do recommend it. Which brings us to Sunday. Sunday's video was accessibility in board games was the topic of the video. The topic was horribly named because a bunch of people thought I was talking about accessibility more in the terms of, disabled accessibility. If you have issues with eyesight, hearing, colorblindness, stuff like that, which is a totally reasonable expectation given the title and the lack of forethought I put into how it would be perceived by everyone. For myself, it was just a category. It was an idea that I came up with as I was thinking through price points of board games and campaign aspect of board games. And so I dive into various facets in board games that affect accessibility. I do want to clarify one point because I got a bunch of comments about the fact that, well, those things are good and it's good to have overpriced and deluxeified games and it's good to have campaigns, and I agree completely. I thought I made it clear in the video, probably not as much as I would have liked, but accessibility in board games was not meant to be a critique of many of the aspects that limit accessibility. Having a deluxeified experience, having, $150 worth of Kingdom Rush on my table does limit other people from having access to that game. Many people will not pay that price point to get a glorified polyomino puzzle on their table. But I like what I'm getting. And so there's always that trade-off. But very often when it comes to accessibility, it's not that it's a bad thing or a good thing. It's that you're often choosing who your target market is. Are you putting out a light game that's going to go on the shelf at Target or your local game store and many people can get? Are you putting out an overpriced game that many people will not be able to get their hands on or will not want to pay that much money, but they will enjoy it more because they're getting a different type of experience? Or in terms of other aspects I touched upon, such as like language or I can't remember all the topics offhand, but the various aspects, price point, deluxe, I can't remember. Most of the topics of accessibility in that video, I think, are not inherently good or bad. They're just trade-offs in what you're doing. The only one that I said I think is probably just in general you should probably have across the board is representation in board games. I think representation is a good thing. I don't think it has to be over the top and overdone to the point that you're checking off every single box, but the general idea can certainly be hit to whatever degree. Which brings us to Monday's video. Monday's video was the top 10 highest funded Kickstarters of all time. And that was one because, like I said already, for a few weeks now, Kickstarter has been light. This coming Monday, I'm sure we'll be back to a regular roundup, but it might be every other week until there's enough content to consistently put out a video without, scraping the bottom of the barrel, as it were, or constantly repeating myself on the same exact Kickstarters. So this Monday there will be a roundup. Next Monday I don't know yet. We'll see how that plays out. But this past Monday was top 10 highest funded Kickstarters instead of a roundup. That was, well, as you might imagine, it was a list of the top 10 highest funded Kickstarters of all time. Bunch of surprises in there for me. A bunch that I already knew, a bunch that I did not know and would not have known, and I challenge people to guess before watching the video, and I wish I would have done that to myself. It certainly was interesting. I will say none of my favorite games were in that list, which was just interesting. I mean, I have a lot of Kickstarter games in my collection. 12, I think it was 12, maybe 14. I don't remember if it was 12 or 14, but 12 or 14 of my top 50 games of all time are Kickstarter games. So I definitely have a lot of Kickstarter games in my favorite games in my collection, but none of my 14 or whatever it was, were in the top 10 highest Kickstarters of all time. There are some that I've played. Etherfields was in there, and Etherfields I'm definitely enjoying, but at the same time, as much as I am enjoying Etherfields, I don't think it's top 50 for me. It's probably top 100, but not top 50, and I only ranked up to 50, so I don't know the next 50 perfectly. But that was Monday. Tuesday was top 10 games to bring home to your family. More specifically, the concept. It's a bit of a mouthful of a title, but the concept was when you're visiting friends, family for the holiday season, or whenever you're doing it, it doesn't really matter. And it could, to a certain extent, this list could be called top 10 gateway games, although I think they're almost a step removed from gateway games. The focus is more on the idea that people who aren't even trying to be introduced to the world of gaming, how can you introduce them to gaming without pushing them off? And that's why the list very heavily focused on working its way up from party games towards lighter strategy games. I think the last game was like Century Golem Edition, which falls more in the strategy camp. And the first bunch were more along the lines of more accessible party trivia games, things that are going to resonate more with somebody who has never touched the world of gaming and has no interest in the world of gaming and is not trying to be involved in the world of gaming. And so from that stance, from that viewpoint, how can you introduce them to something that isn't, well, off-putting? As much as Kingdom Rush is a fun little experience here, if you put this down on their table, it might well be overwhelming. And so I had a bunch of games in there. My favorite game possibly for this category might have been Las Vegas, and that's because Las Vegas it does have those elements of strategy, but it very much disguises it under the party guise of what's going on. Don't get me wrong, every single one of those 10 games is one that I really, really enjoy and do find that they fit that goal of when you're trying to introduce a game to someone who has no interest in the gaming world and isn't trying to be involved at all. From there we have Wednesday. Wednesday I put up a review of Etherfields. Normally reviews are Saturday specifically. When a game is big enough or has enough of an audience, enough of a following, then I will not bury it in Saturday, which is full of reviews. It's going to be less, of a thing in general, but certainly whenever there's large campaigns, Etherfields has 28,000 people who want to be notified on launch. That is an insane number. 28,000 people who want to be notified when that game launches. I'm lying. ISIS Vanguard has 28,000 people who want to be notified when the game launches. And so there are these games, there are these, things that have enough of an audience, enough of a market, that they will get their own dedicated review day. But Etherfields is basically, like I said already, not top 50 for me. I think it's top 100. I'm not certain about that, but it is certainly an enjoyable experience, and it's one that I find fascinating because the game, in my opinion, is arguably broken in some ways. My review is going to very much mirror a lot of what Shut Up and Sit Down said, just with a totally different conclusion. They saw, we both had the same complaints as to the pros and cons of Etherfields, and we both had an enjoyable experience to a degree, but they walked away being completely done with it, thinking it's broken, do not touch this game, do not get this game, and I think Etherfields is a great game, assuming you're willing to overlook some things that don't detract from the experience. In fact, I now have an additional video that I want to talk about or bring to the table about house ruling in games and when I am okay with it and when I'm not, because I'm usually not okay with it. I usually have no patience for house rules, but when it comes to Etherfields, I do, and there's a very specific category or subset as to why that is, and I think it's an interesting discussion and video in its own right. From there, we're moving to Thursday. Thursday is going to be the top 10 things we look for in a Kickstarter page, whatever it is. Basically, that was a video I did together with Jeremy Howard. This is going to be the longest single video you have ever seen on the BoardGameCo channel, I'm pretty sure. Coming in at roughly an hour and a half because Jeremy Howard and I like to talk and we had fun, and I'm guessing a lot of people didn't fully make their way through that video. It's okay. Hour and a half long videos are hard to get through. But nonetheless, just me and Jeremy Howard from Man vs. Meeple talking about things we look for in a Kickstarter page. What are things that we are interested in paying attention to? What are things that will put us off? What are things that will make us more interested, more confidence? I think we live in a golden age of board games, a golden age of Kickstarter, and there's tons of good examples of what to look for out there. There's tons of good examples of what you want to see in a Kickstarter page, in a Kickstarter project, and the nice part is, cream rises to the top. With enough time, with enough Kickstarters, there is going to be more consistency in the quality of what they show you, what they do. We're not even talking about the final game, to be clear. We're just talking about the marketing aspect of how they are trying to get you to back their game and what we personally look for as both pros and cons in that sense. From there, we have Friday. Speaking of ISIS Vanguard and the 28,000 people who have notified me on launch. Friday is the should you back it, or was the should you back it for, I say is because it's not Friday when I'm filming this, so technically I haven't even done that video yet, but ISIS Vanguard is confirmed to launch, or Again, we're losing track of the is and was. As of when I'm talking, ISS Vanguard is confirmed to launch Thursday. As of when you're seeing this, ISS Vanguard launched Thursday, and I put up a video on Friday for should you back it, as far as should you back ISS Vanguard or not. The short version is, and I'm saying this having not done the video, of course you should back it. It's going to be totally 100% a safe back. You will easily be able to get your money back. You'll easily be able to sell it for more than what you paid for it if you don't like it. I'll save you all the time. Don't bother watching the video. And now if you're interested in it personally, that's a different conversation. I have a lot of content around that. I have reviews. I have another video or two coming up about it. So as far as whether you are personally interested in it, that's a longer conversation. Maybe you should check out the video if you didn't already. As far as whether you should or shouldn't back it, yes, 100% you should back it if you know, it's going to hold this value, not a question there at all. And then finally, that brings us to today, Saturday. Obviously, you're watching this video if you got this far. As far as what's coming up today, we have at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we have Hello Neighbor is a party game that's going to be, I'm doing a review on Hello Neighbor. It's a party game based on the video game, and it's going to be one of those One Night Ultimate World, Resistance. It's a hidden role genre game. At 2 o'clock, I have a Nova Luna game, Nova Luna review with my wife. My wife and I, Rena Radcliffe, joined the channel again for a review of Nova Luna together with me. We have a few other videos coming up, but I didn't want to only do top 10 lists with her, so we'll see. We'll mix up the content. We will have fun. She definitely will be back. She had a lot of fun. We're having fun, which is really the entire point of this channel. And then at 4 o'clock, we have a review for Dwellings of Eldervale. And if you listen to The Weekly Quack is a podcast I have with Quacklope. If you listen to The Weekly Quack, then you already know my opinion of Dwellings of Eldervale. So you can either go ahead and listen to that, which I will include a link down below to The Weekly Quack, or you could just wait around till 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, at which point I will tell you my review, or my opinion, I guess, of Dwellings of Eldervale then. This has been your week in review, and basically that's really it. So make sure to come back tomorrow for the live Q&A, assuming you have any questions that want answered. Again, live Q&As are pretty simple. Nothing is off the table. I have not yet dodged a single question. I don't know. I think I'm looking for trouble. I'm like, I keep saying like nothing's off the table as if I'm trying to promote the idea that you should ask the most controversial questions you possibly can. At the end of the day, I won't ignore. I will say I'm not answering a question if I don't want to answer a question. I just can't imagine what that question could be. I don't know. I like conversation. I think when I keep saying that, it's because there's this concept of almost a wall between the reviewer, the person on the other end, the content creator, and then the person who's absorbing that content. And I have frequently and consistently, and Jesse as well, Jesse from Quackle has the same idea, we frequently try to break down those barriers. We're not interested in that wall. There's a reason I try to reply to every comment. There's a reason I consistently say nothing's off topic. There's a reason we have a Discord. You can ping me anytime on Discord. If you send me an email, I haven't ignored a single email yet. By the way, if I get flooded with emails, I may have to ignore emails, but that's not the point. Friend requests are the only thing I don't really respond to friend requests on Facebook unless we have an overlap of friends in common. That is because initially I used to, and then I started getting a lot of spam from people who friended me, asked me to like their page. I had one person who tried to scam me into a Bitcoin thing. It got weird pretty quickly, and so I went back to my policy of I only accept friend requests if we have an overlap. So if you've ever friended me and I haven't accepted, it means we didn't have an overlap, and I just need some degree of confidence in some way that it's not going to turn into a whole bunch of whatever. This has been an interesting tangent from the usual content. My point is, show up at the Q&A, ask questions, do whatever. I enjoy talking. I enjoy the back and forth. I enjoy that direct live communication as opposed to the pre-recorded me talking to a camera and confusing whether it's before or after a particular date, because my future is your past, and it's very confusing. Watch Memento, by the way. It's an excellent movie and will be even more confusing, and I'm gone on far, far, far too long. Until next time, I am Alex Radcliffe from BoardGameCo. I hope you have a good one, and I hope to see you tomorrow at the Q&A. Bye.